Always waiting comes with trials and challenges. Nothing in life is free. My Lord, show me right from wrong. Give me light, make me strong. I know the road is long. Make me strong. Sometimes it just gets too.
लाखों दरूद और लाखों सलाम, लाखों दरूद और लाखों सलाम, जिन्नों मलाइक तेरे गुलाम, जिन्नों मलाइक तेरे गुलाम, लाखों दरूद और लाखों सलाम, इतना करम तो फरमाइए.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inshallah, we continue our journey to learn how to achieve closeness and the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You've had the spiritual training for ascension. We've seen people's experiences and heard from people, whoever's had struggles, whoever had success. But these things are designed to motivate you. The real crux, the foundation of achieving the rida of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the pure self-purification of our nafs, tazkiyah nafs. And we, as our blessed teacher mentioned, you can sit in a classroom, learn all about theory, even if it's running or learning how to swim. If you learn even for 10 days in a classroom how to swim, until you do not dive into the pool, you will not become even a experienced swimmer of any sort. So for that reason, we want to get you onto the practical aspects of the course, where you are dipping your feet into the water and your whole body, mind, heart, soul, and basically purifying yourself. And in order to get you started on the basic foundation, pleasure in handing over to Ustadh Siraaj Mahmood, who will take you to the next stage of this presentation.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajma'in, amma ba'd. So mashallah, you've heard from our blessed teacher, couldn't be explained any better how important the tazkiyah element is. You know, they say right at the end, just to give it its importance, put everything else aside. You know, without this, your journey means nothing. So this is why it's very important that in this particular session that we're actually clear on the 5 amals. And inshallah I'll try my best to explain, but the most important thing is that you yourself are clear on it. So now when you walk away, you should be able to do this on your own. That's how clear you need to be. Because like we mentioned before, these are like your tools, this is like your weaponry now. This is what's going to keep you protected from shaitan and keep you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what you're going to take away with you. So this is like your most important things that you need with you now. But before we go on to the 5 amals, just to ensure that we remember how we got to these 5 amals, we're just going to briefly go over our roadmap that we've been over the past 2 days. So just to make sure that we are 100% clear on why we are doing these 5 amals. So everyone should be, I'm hoping, you know, the last 2 days we'll find out now. This is like our examination day. The last 2 days have been successful or not, or if I've done well or not. You'll tell me this now. So don't let me down, because I'm on camera as well, okay? So let's start. Who wants to start? So let's start with, I'm thinking, you know what we'll do is, we'll start in the reverse way. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm thinking we'll start with this side. They got less people, so we'll start with these lot today. You lot got more people, so we'll give them a bit of a head start. Okay, so first and foremost, shout out ultimate pleasure. Oh, ultimate purpose. You can see I'm not with it. Ultimate purpose. Okay, they don't get that point. I get that point. Okay, so we got first and foremost, right at the top, why are we doing this journey? Why are we here? What's the ultimate purpose? Is the pleasure of Allah. Okay? Pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing but the pleasure of Allah. So now we know that's right at the top. That's our ultimate purpose. Ends of all ends, that is what we want ultimately. Okay? Now we said, to get that, there's 4 things that are necessary, and we classed it as a mountain. So, can we have someone from this side just to tell me one? I want one from 4 different people. So there's 4, so one from 4 different people. So, anyone want to volunteer? Besides Dr. Siraaj. MashaAllah, he's been to many itikaafs. Okay. Pick someone who you think's. Go on, Brother Zain, MashaAllah.
Are they the conditions?
Ooh. So we're going backwards now, eh? So we're not going from
Objectives.
the front. Okay, so how many objectives are there?
4.
4 objectives. Okay, we'll let you have that as one. Okay, so there's the mountain of 4 objectives. So we've got the ultimate purpose, which is repeat after me. What is it? Pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so from the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to achieve that, we have 4 objectives. Okay, so now can someone tell me from this side one objective? Go on, Brother Kaisar. The presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can you explain that to me? So
as if Allah is always with you at all times, basically.
So if I was just say how I want you to answer to me as though I'm a new person who doesn't know about this path, and you're telling me for the first time. Okay, so if I say to you, brother, what do you mean by the presence of Allah? How do I do that? So explain to me, how do I get in the presence of Allah?
So is it part of taqwa that Allah is always with you and watching you? Yeah,
so I need to know exactly. So just say I'm a new person, I want to practice the presence of Allah.
the 3 keys.
Okay, now explain to me what them 3 keys are.
That Allah is with you, Allah is watching you, and Allah is hearing you.
So Allah's watching, Allah's with you. It's very important you remember these 3 keys, because this is without you can't have 2 and not the other one. You need to know all 3. So it's very important that the 3 keys are remembered together, because this is going to build your connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the 3 keys, yeah. So now I'm a new person again. Okay, so I need to remember these 3 keys. Okay, that's fine. So when do I remember it? How do I remember it? What do I do?
At all times. So you just have to have that kind of mentality that Allah is always watching, Allah is always hearing, Allah is everywhere.
Okay, mashallah. Okay, I was watching, I was with me, Allah's hearing me. Okay, that's the 3 keys. So we've got one. Okay, after 4 objectives. Now we need another one. There's 3 left. Come on, Ibrahim. Okay, mashallah, we've got one here.
Rights of the creation.
Okay, so brother, what do you mean by rights of the creation? Does that mean I can pay £5 an hour to my workers?
It's about having compassion on the creation, because for instance, if you want the mercy of Allah, then you should exercise mercy upon the creation as well.
Okay.
And so the more you service the creation, that's also service to Allah as well.
Okay, mashallah. So we've got 2, the presence of Allah, the compassion upon creation, right? So now we've got 2 more left. Shall we pick someone you think might not know? I'm only joking. Go on, give Abbas a chance.
The presence of Allah. No, not the presence. Preference to the commands of Allah.
MashaAllah. Go on now, explain that to me, brother. Brother, what do you mean? What does that mean? What do I have to do?
And anything that you do, so you want all other people right on you.
Okay, so could you give me an example?
Reading namaz on time at work.
Okay. MashaAllah.
Keeping a roza on a hot day.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. That's a good one, that, MashaAllah. I'll give you that one. I'm not going to give you extra point because they'll complain, but I'll give you that one. Okay, so we got so far how many? 3. Can we repeat them? Which 3 have we gone over? Let you brothers repeat it. Which 3 have they said, so I know you lot are listening as well?
Just give me a second, bro.
No. One more, you're getting disqualified. Right. Preference? Okay. Not preference to the creation. Okay. And what was the third one? Anyone else? Presence of? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so we've got one more left. Which one is that? Go on. Go on, have a go. Go on, have a go.
My eyesight's not that good.
Yeah, so don't look that way, look this way, look this way.
Half of what he looked at there.
I know. Go on, let him.
I know it's to do with the Rasul Park, but I don't know the Sunnah
Okay,
of the
Chalo
Rasul
Mashallah,
Park.
we've got that bit, okay,
Yeah.
Rasul Park Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, okay.
Yeah.
So what about them? You tell me, what do you think from what you've understood? Not what people are whispering to you.
Following in their footsteps.
Mashallah. But we said one word in particular. Do you remember? Okay, I'll tell you the word preference. But practically what does that mean? So like Brother Abbas gave an example. Give me an example where we're giving preference to the Sunnah.
Putting it above everything else, basically.
Okay, mashallah. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we've got the 4 objectives, yeah? So we've got, first of all, what's before the 4 objectives? Sorry? Pleasure of Allah, yeah? So we're working backwards now, yeah? So we've got the, first and foremost, pleasure of Allah. Okay, then we've got the 4 objectives. Okay, and then to achieve those 4 objectives, what do we have to do? So now I'm going to go to these lot, okay? I don't know how many points to give you for that. It's a bit of a mix of, we'll give them 4, go on, we'll give them 4. Go on. So, okay, so what did you say, Brother Nasir? The bridge. The bridge, okay. So, can one brother each choose someone? So only one.
Yeah.
You need to say one and you need to explain it to me as I don't know.
What, so the purification?
Yeah.
So you've got the organs.
Organs, okay, so what about the organs?
So it's the 7 organs, which is the tongue, the ears, the eyes, hands, stomach, feet, and the privates.
MashaAllah, you got your organs this time, that's good, MashaAllah. Okay, now what about these organs?
So it's all about being conscious of what you do, how you use them,
okay,
and being mindful of not to sin from them areas.
Okay, right. I've got bonus point. This is to anyone. Yeah, there's not the teams, there's just for independent bonus point. Yeah. Now, by purifying the organs, what does that do to our heart? Bonus point. Go on, Brother Hamza. He's put his hands up very confidently there at the back. This is Brother Jabbar's younger brother, mashallah, so we'll see. Go on. No pressure.
So like when you purify them, there's like light the blocks in that part of the organ, so that you can't like sin from the organ. You can sin, but you can't.
Is that a riddle? I didn't get it though. Do you want to try again?
Nah, basically, yeah. So for example, you're taking your tongue sheet, and
Okay.
that's one means to stop the darkness entering the heart.
Okay.
So that part of the heart will start becoming like a little lighter.
Okay.
Until you start do all these 7, then it'll just be like, it'll block the sins in it, kind of thing.
So look, you partially got it. I'm going to give you 1 point for that. We're not
Kind of thing.
Kind of. Does anyone want to help him out to finish off what he's mentioning?
You're saying it enlightens the heart.
Yeah. So carry on, mashallah. He just self-volunteered. Didn't even put his hand up, just self-volunteered. Go on, mashallah.
Very avid volunteer, mashallah.
But sorry, that's what I thought Brother Hamza was saying. It enlightens the heart, so it becomes purified.
So it becomes purified. But now the point I'm asking is that, remember we mentioned that person might go to Salah, and then he comes out, and then because of what he does after his Salah, them good deeds all go to it. So now he's purified. Now what happens to the heart? So them good deeds, what happens with them good deeds now? Or that light that's come to his heart?
Oh, well, he's got the answer.
Go, mashallah.
The effect of that zikr shows up in the person.
Okay, yes, that's the important thing. So now you understand. It's not just that you're doing it, but you understand what you're doing. Okay, so that's fine, alhamdulillah. So we've got the body, which is the most important one. Now I just want you to list the other 3, because obviously we're going to focus on the body. So what were the other 3? Quick fire from this side.
The one mind.
Mind, yeah. Okay, so purifying the mind, yep. And then after that, we've got 2 more left.
Purification of the soul.
Okay, that's fine. And then there's a final one. So we've got purification, the body, mind, heart, and what's the final one? Someone did mention it, but go on.
Is it the body?
Okay,
Body, mind, soul.
We've done body, mind, heart, but there's just one part of the fourth stage. Without you're not, this cameraman's not reliable, is he?
Nafs.
Huh?
Nafs.
No, it's just one thing that's left. Just one. So you purified your body, you purified your mind, you purified your heart. It's just the final stage.
Soul.
No, but what about the soul? Even he doesn't know. Come on, Jabbi.
Enlightenment of the soul.
There you go, inshallah. Enlightenment of soul. You can put
I get
this
a point.
on now, yeah. So, just wanted. Oh, sorry. Last four things. So for us to start this path, so that's the path. That's our objective. So we've got the ultimate pleasure. Our practical way of achieving that ultimate pleasure. Then we've got the practical way to do that. Now, what's the 4 conditions to start that? Jabbi, just pick anyone from this side. Go on, let Brother Ibrahim answer.
It's 4 preconditions.
Okay, do you want to list all 4 for us?
Yeah, it's a belief,
Okay,
striving,
okay,
repentance,
okay.
and a fiqh.
Fiqh. Okay, right, okay, mashallah. Okay, that's fine. So now we know this is our whole path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the overview of the path, okay? Now, is anyone not clear about that? So you're all clear about it, yeah? So now when we just randomly walk in for iftar and stuff, and I just ask you a question, you lot are going to know, yeah? Is that fair to say? Because I'm not going to stop this. Even though I'm formally going to stop sitting here, I'm still going to ask you. Only for your own benefit, because one thing with memory, it develops over time. So if you just cram it all in one go, you won't remember it all. But over time, but if you keep asking, questioning, hopefully by the 10th day, you lot will be telling me, and I'll be getting it wrong. Hopefully. So that's what will happen, okay? So now, we're going to carry on to now the actual, like our blessed teacher said that, you know, these 5 actions, they emphasized how important it is now. So we need to try our best to make sure we understand it and, you know, we practice it as well from today. So from after telling you now, you should be making intention to start that. And just by that intention alone, you'll see how it will accelerate your spiritual journey as well. Okay, so we're going to move on to that now, inshallah. So have you got the presentation up? Okay, let's just get to the... Oh, just 1 second. It's on there. Okay, so this is just going to go through this. Just 1 second. Let me just... It's too much there. 1 second. Okay, so this is the 5 fundamental practices. Yeah, that's fine. Is it on the... Okay, mashallah. So, yesterday we went over the dhikr methodology, yeah? So, alhamdulillah, you've been doing that, so I'm quite sort of confident that you're clear on this, so I don't need to repeat it again. But what I will say about this is the purpose of the dhikr. The purpose of the dhikr is to keep your mind in the constant remembrance of Allah. So to keep your mindset in the correct way, and your goal is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is to keep your mind and protected from shaitanic thoughts as well. So this is what the dhikr is doing also. It's keeping your mind connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by doing that. And it's a regular reminder to you that I want nothing but Allah, nothing but Allah. So every day when you're doing that dhikr, just say whatever you've been through, you're coming home or you're starting your day or you're finishing your day, telling yourself that everything else has no value but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whatever I've accumulated in that day, Ya Allah, I'm giving it to you. I don't want it. All I want is you. So that is what is to do, is to change your mindset, to give you the correct mindset. And you have to keep on doing, and you know, this is a hadith that the best zikr a person can do is zikr of La ilaha illallah. You know, the fuqaha and you know the shuyukhs and like Hasab, they could give you hours and hours and hours and hours of the ma'rifah of this, and you still won't understand it. It's never ending. So it's such a blessed zikr. But the true effect of sitting and hearing, yes, that's like Hasab mentioned, is a motivator. But the true effect is when you do it. And not just when you do it, but when you do it consistently and regular. So just doing it 1, 2, 3 days, it's not really going to have an effect on you. But consistency and regular dhikr is what's going to make an effect on your heart. Okay, and I'm going to mention at the end, as a minimum, to know if it's going to have an effect on you. I'm going to mention that at the end, that how long really you need to do it to see its effect. Okay, so the dhikr, we're clear on that, yeah? And we know the purpose of the dhikr and its importance. That is to keep our mind in the consistent remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to remind us of what we do not chase, what things are not our purpose. So when we're saying La, we're saying we negate everything else but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now just pondering on that on a day, just imagine, so that's why it's important you don't just do it as a, basically how we pray Quran. You know how we pray Quran, we just pray it for the sake of praying it. That's not the way. The way you do it is reflecting on the thoughts. Like I'll give you an idea that, yeah, when you're saying La, you know, take your time to think, Allah, I'm rejecting everything else. And just ponder on that thought for a moment. I'm rejecting everything else. Whatever's come my way, whatever dunya, whatever materialistic thing, whatever fame, honor, respect, women, whatever it is, Ya Allah, for you, I'm rejecting it. You know, if you think about that for a few moments, think of the effect, then you're saying, all I want in this life is just you. So when you think of it like that, just imagine the effect it's going to have. But when you're just saying, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, just for, I need to get my zikr, I need to take a sheet, that's the wrong mentality. You can do that for years on end, it's going to have no effect. It'll have some effect, but this actual maximum effect, you're not going to get that. But by doing it like this, with this methodology, it's going to have that maximum effect on your heart. Okay, so is anyone not familiar with the dhikr? Or are we okay with the methodology? Yeah? We're okay with this. And then we have the Murakam dua. Okay, this is a way for you to constantly communicate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to build that deep connection. One is the dhikr of that, who is my Lord? Who is it? Who is my ultimate purpose? Who is it that I'm here for? But this is then to build that connection. This is like, for example, okay, you've got like, for example, one of them old dial phones, or you've got a letter. Okay, to say you've got a letter, yeah, and now just say you want to send a letter of request to someone, a very important letter, and then you post it. How long is it going to take? Maybe 4 weeks, 3 weeks, even first class up to a week. This is like that direct line where you just pick up the phone, you just dial the number and you're connected. You know, you would say, if a person was to send letters now, to send an important message, they're a fool. Yeah, when you've got something like the phone, why would you send a letter? Especially if it's an emergency. Yeah, so this is what this is. This is your direct request, your direct line to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, how good do we feel if we, you know, like a famous company, we've got a direct line to it. You know, I can ring the CEO, I can ring directly to the manager's office. You know, you feel, oh, you know, I've got the number, you know, sure, I've got the number, you know. You're trying to get through to the insurance company and you go, you're there. Imagine you have the direct line, you know, you don't have to wait in the queue. You feel good, don't you? Or when they say to you, you know, we'll ring you back when you're number one in the queue. You feel good. There is no queue, there is no waiting, you know, there is no ringing. As soon as you connect you with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is what this just limited to the purpose of you doing it at home. So this la ilaha dhikr that we mentioned is 20 minutes. You do this 20 minutes, okay? So that's what you need to do. Obviously, if you struggle, then you can reduce it, but that shouldn't be your thought. Only if you're really struggling, or you know, you're coming to say, think, I'm going to miss it. So whatever you can do. But 20 minutes is like, again, the maximum effect is 20 minutes. That's the prescribed time. Then you'll do this after your dhikr for at least 10 minutes. For at least a minimum of 10 minutes. But if it goes on, alhamdulillah, you know, I know some people, they'll sit there and they look at the time and they'll realize, like some brothers have mentioned, you know, an hour is gone and they thought it was 10 minutes because they're in such a deep connection. But as I call 10 minutes, because obviously working and stuff, you might not do an hour every day. Some people, mashallah, you know, they might be able to do that. But as a minimum, you need to do 10 minutes. But this is such a beautiful thing that it's not just limited to when you're sat there. Even the la ilaha dhikr, it's not just limited to it. That should train you, so when you go out in the real world, that you still remember Allah. So when you're doing it at home, it's to train you that, right, you're going to go into the battleground. Now, This is where the test comes. It's easy sat there doing it, but now can you do it when you're out there? Can you actually reflect that meaning in your day-to-day life? That's what that's training you to do. And then that's the thing, that you're going to Allah Ta'ala for your request, but when you're outside in the real world, are you going to send your request then as well? So and you can do this all the time, and that's a good way to do it, and it's to give that development with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wherever you are, you're always connected. A problem, instantly you connect. And this is what Muraqabah Dua teaches you how to do that. So are we familiar with the methodology? Yeah? We'll just look at it again. So the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So obviously you do for both zikrs, the preparation amals, we should be 100% familiar with this now. Brother, I forgot your name now. What's the name? Jawad. What was it, Jawad? Yes. Do you remember what the preparation amals for any zikr that we do?
So,
not the protection amals, don't get mixed up, the preparation amals.
is he say astaghfirullah 3 times?
Okay.
Three times.
Yep.
And then la hawla wa quwwata illa billah 3 times.
Yep, okay, that's fine. Okay, Jazakallah. Okay, so you do your preparation amals, and then you come into the presence of Allah. Allah is watching me, Allah is with me, Allah is listening to me. Then 7 blessings, 7 sins, 7 problems, 7 needs. Seek guidance from Allah. You rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then you present that as a gift to Allah. And then you actually feel as though it's like it's a burden off your shoulders now. Now, when you mean rely on Allah, that now that you leave it with Allah. You don't think about that. You work on what you can, but you don't allow that stress to be in your head anymore. You've given it Allah. The stress you've given to Allah. Now your job is just to carry on. Okay, and then obviously it's the name of Allah. So you stare at the name of Allah. Yeah, okay, like we were doing with Ustaadh Guest. Do you remember? So one is you can just stare at the name of Allah, close your eyes, and then go into the Murakabah Dua, like Ustaadh Guest has been showing us. Yeah. So everyone with me at the moment? Nothing confusing. Yep. If at any point you feel like I've not, just raise your hand straight away, because this is one of them things you need to understand. You need to ask, and you need to be able to do it. Yeah.
I'll ask a question. Suppose you miss a zikr one day.
Okay.
How do you?
Yeah. So you make that up the next day.
So if you miss it once.
Yeah.
So you can do it like as a qaza, so that so it doesn't get missed.
Yeah. So you should.
Or next day you do it double.
Yeah, so you do it double, wouldn't you? So on the next day, like a qaza, you do that. But you would need to make that zikr up.
Just to make that zikr up.
Yeah, because basically what we've got to understand is, as seekers, you could say these are like our fard on the path. These are our must do on the path. So if you see it like that, it's how your salah is fard. You have to see this as a seeker. For you to progress on this path to Allah Ta'ala, these are your fard acts. That's how. So if you see it with that mentality, then it should set the sort of how it should be thought.
So it's not like you miss it one day and cholo next day.
No, because then that'll never come. Then you see.
Right. So it's like an antibiotic, right? You can't miss it.
Exactly. Right. That's a very good example. You got to do the course. Because that one day could be the reason why you fall. Remember that.
So this isn't a tick sheet.
No. The zikr's not got a tick sheet. You've got to just do that as a consistently. That's a very good mindset to have. If you see it as your fard, that without this I can't get to Allah Ta'ala, then think how does it feel if you miss your salah for one day. That's what will happen to you. And slowly by missing your dhikr, you'll see that you'll begin to decline as well. That strength you had to go out there and do good actions, it'll slowly go. Okay, so very important, remember that. Okay, now obviously we talked about the sheets, and do you remember what the first sheet we said we're going to start? Tongue. Okay, mashallah. So we're familiar with the methodology, yeah? The actual practice of this methodology, yeah? We're familiar with that. Is anyone who's not familiar with it? No, so that means I can ask anyone to explain it to me. Brother Hamza, could you explain to me the methodology of this sheet, as though I was just about to start it today?
Okay, so if you're starting with the tongue.
Yep.
So you'd mark a tick on every day that you've gone without using your tongue for any sort of sin.
Okay.
So if you've sinned on any particular day, let's say day 5,
okay,
it's a cross.
Very good. You even remember the day as well, mashallah.
You start again.
Okay. And then?
Up until you've hit 30 days consecutively.
Okay, mashallah. Now, the purpose of this sheet is for you to build that stamina, to build that strength to fight and resist shaitan. You might just think this is a simple sheet. But in fact, what you're doing is you're developing the resistance and you could say the weaponry to attack shaitan or to defeat shaitan. So this is how important this sheet is. The more consistent you are on the sheet, the stronger you're becoming against shaitan. This is what it's doing. By you ticking your sheet, ticking, and even that's even crossing is important. Like I said, because you're still successful. Because why? Because you're recognizing what you're doing. That is the most important thing. If you cannot recognize that shaitan's deceiving you, then he's always going to deceive you. What that cross is telling you is, I have realized, shaitan, what you're trying to do to me. And a tick is saying, I've beat you today. So both are just important. But the day you put it down, your sheet, and say, I'll do it tomorrow, that day shaitan's beat you. So every day you miss this, every day you've let shaitan beat you. But every day you pick this up and just put this simple tick and cross, you've beaten shaitan. You know, they say you have many battles. You win some, you lose some. But the fact is what? What do you do in a battle? You win, you lose, but what's the fact? What does a true soldier do? Keeps fighting. Keeps fighting. That's what a true soldier is. So if you can think yourself, on the street with a soldier, yeah, I'm a soldier, you know what I mean? I'm in school, I'm the hardest in school, I'm tough. We have this mentality of ourselves. Well, if you think you're tough, then this is how you need to be against shaitan. Actually, with people, we're supposed to show mercy. Who are you supposed to be tough with is shaitan and your nafs. So this is the real battle. So if you consider yourself hard, well, this is where you're going to see really, ultimately, how strong you are. Yes, but did you have a question, yes, uncle?
Do you do it once a day or one in the morning and one?
No, so just one. So what you do is you'll start your day. So 24 hours, you put one tick, one cross. So say your day is like 10 till 10. So you cross every night before you go to bed. Like I'll give you my technique. For me, the easiest thing I do is I leave it on my pillow in the morning, because I know I'm gonna have to touch this pillow. It's there. I can't avoid it. So in the morning, I have my little shelf on the side. Before I go work, I'll get my book and I'll make sure that it's on my pillow. So when I come at night, I have no choice. I have to touch the book. To go sleep, I have to touch it. Even if I don't feel like taking it, but I have to touch the book. And the fact that I've touched it, I'm gonna open it. You know what I mean? But if it's away in my shelf, this is just me, the way I am. If it's not in front of me, I might forget. So because it's there in front of me, you know what I mean, I know I have to pick it up to go sleep. So now it's in my hand, it's only going to take me 2 minutes. Simple. So, so have a time, have a time. But remember, when you have that thought, and shaitan puts it, tick tomorrow, tick after a week, that day is beat you. That moment you've let him beat you. But the fact that you pick the book up and just put that tick in the cross, you've beaten shaitan. Tick or cross. Because eventually that tick will come. Eventually you'll understand what he's doing to you and you'll defeat him. Because we're not relying on ourselves, remember, we're relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah, with Allah ta'ala's reliance, you will win anything, and every situation is a win-win situation. Sometimes things take longer than other things because maybe we're doing more sins for longer, but it doesn't mean you're not winning. So the only loss is when you don't do the sheet. So remember that, very important. Okay.
If you leave the sheet at home,
yeah.
Say you are walking or you go to meet friends, and maybe in the process of meeting friends, you might say something that contradicts what you are supposed to do. And then you come home, you forget, and then you just say, okay, yes, I did everything right today.
If you're going to go through that situation, obviously, for yourself to make easier, write it at the time. Have a little notebook for yourself. So then you can take that at home, look at your sheet and think, right, okay, this happened. So, but what will happen is, what you'll see with this is, your awareness will become such that when you do something like this, you'll feel its effect and it'll be playing on your head all day. That's how strong this sheet is. That you will back by or swear, and it will have such an effect on your heart that, trust me, by the night you won't forget that you did that. But what you do is, before you start this sheet, is you do 2 rakat shukr and 2 rakat tawbah. Well, tawbah and then shukr. Tawbah, because we've been heedless for so long. And shukr, Allah Ta'ala given us this opportunity now to follow him and do things in the correct manner. And what you do is, again, so just say you got a cross, you start again. do that tawbah and shukr again. Tawbah for falling into it, but shukr that Allah Ta'ala has made you realize and start again. Because that could have been your last breath. That sin that you committed could have been the last breath you took. So the fact that you've come at night and you've been able to reflect, that's a great blessing. How many people have like just the other day I got a message of a brother from Great Howard, and he said to me, can you send a brother from the Tareeqah to Great Howard tomorrow? It's urgent. I go, why? Because a 28-year-old just died. We need someone to do bayan on his grave. 28 years old. Some of us have lived way longer than that here. Some of us haven't even got to that age. What was his last breath? We don't know. We don't know. So imagine, at least if you have sinned, you've repented to Allah Ta'ala. You know? So, very important. So are we clear on the tongue sheet? Yeah? Yeah, Brother Naveed.
If we put a cross on the sheet, do we have to do 2 rakats of tawbah, or can we just do astaghfirullah?
You should do. It's better to do tawbah like that. You can do, but it's better to do it like that. Okay? Okay, now prayer sheet.
Can I just go back on the tongue sheet?
Yeah, no problem.
So we were given the book yesterday, and obviously we're due to start the exercise, but some things are there are self-explanatory, like you know like it's comes to like the malicious side of it, so that's clear cut, you're not going to do that. But there's some things that what would they, like just say for example it says like if you click back onto the
tongue sheet,
yeah
it's on here. Brothers, can you put this?
So just say it says singing, for example, and you're hearing a song and you're humming to it. Would that, what are the like lines between it?
So
and
simple.
Even like banter, like just say sometimes you're having banter. Would that be like ridiculing? Like where is the line between certain things?
Simply put, what comes into the Sharia of Islam and what's halal, what's haram. So for example, singing. If you're singing in a nasheed, that's halal. There's nothing wrong with that. But if it's Tupac, then clearly, it's fairly obvious you can't do that. Yeah, of course. So, no, but with the listening, that's different. But just for the tongue sheet, because we're not on them sheets yet. But obviously with listening, just for the sake of, the Yavasis, obviously if you don't it intentionally, that's different. Something you can't, obviously where we live, we can't avoid it if you walk past, an area where there's music. You know what I mean? I think that's personal opinion, really, to be fair. That depends on the person.
Sometimes it can happen, but even like on the other side, like there's a difference between like cursing, like obviously like there's outright cursing someone and lying and backbiting. That's clear cut. But then what about like just say if you're just having a bit of a joke or
so even then the Prophet ﷺ has given us a way of joking, that a joke should be truthful. If it's a lie, then that's wrong. So that would be and another thing is if what you're saying the person dislikes it, then that's a cross.
What about if they're present with you and
Yeah, but from the point of the sunnah though is that if you're joking, it should be in such a way where it shouldn't even be a lie. The Prophet never joked in a way.
I don't mean a lie. I mean like joking as in you like say something that is just a bit for like you're in a company with someone and
like again it needs to be in the boundaries of Sharia. So like I mentioned, it shouldn't be a lie. So if it's not a lie, it shouldn't be a swear word in there. It shouldn't involve something which is going to harm the person. Do you understand? So basically with these sort of conditions in there, then it's fine. We all joke. Brothers are joking here. But there's got to be some. So like I mentioned, these sort of conditions in there.
But what about if you're doing it innocently? Like you say even now within this, like you're saying something about this joke, but then what about if the other person
took it to heart when you were just actually joking?
Then that's a cross.
Then you put that
that's a cross, yeah. Because that's you not realizing.
Would it be better to ask the person or tell the person later on that if you did mind, let me know, and then that way that okay, that's a blind that you wouldn't cross that another time.
Yeah. Or just try to limit your jokes, Itikaaf.
But I'm talking
no,
about
in general, of course. But what you see is, the more you begin to reflect, that understanding will develop better. So don't worry too much about this. Don't overthink it.
See, some of the things are clear cut, like obviously lying and if you're being malicious about someone, that we already know. But I was just about the more inner details about it. That was because if you're gonna do it, you want to do it fully 100%.
Yeah, of course.
You don't want to, you know, so that's the reason why.
Inshallah, yeah, no problem. Go, what says, don't worry too much right now at this stage, okay? Get on with it. Where it comes to that point, speak to your mentor.
Okay, and you can go to that situation and say, look, this is what the situation that happened.
Yeah.
Should I put a cross for
so
that, or shall I?
This is exactly what your mentor's there for. Exactly for that, inshallah. I'm going to move on because we're very short of time, inshallah. So that's tongue, okay? So now prayer. So this is the outward things that we need to follow in prayer, okay? So we've got two elements to prayer, the outward things that we need to do, physical and the spiritual aspect. Okay, so for the physical, is intentionally missing Salah with Jamaat without a valid Sharia excuse. Okay, so you cannot miss Jamaat. Okay, that there's really no excuse. There's even a hadith Mubarak that if the Prophet said that those people, this is not the exact word, but those people who miss Jamaat without a reason, they feel to go to burn that person's house down. There's a hadith that mentions that. That's how serious missing. Even when the Prophet was on their deathbed, they tried their utmost to pray Jamaat. And this is the Prophet who's forgiven, who's guaranteed Jannah. Hazrat Umar, how did he die? He died a shaheed leading the Jamaat. Yes, this is how important Jamaat is. Okay, so without a valid reason, we shouldn't be missing, Jamaat. Okay, that's one thing. Intentionally missing Salah, not perform Sunnat-e-Muakkada. Okay, we know which are, so this is where your fiqh comes in, is what is your Sunnat-e-Muakkada. Not perform wudu properly according to Sunnah. It's another important thing. Does not know the obligatory acts of prayer. So clearly, if you don't know the act, you're not going to pray Salah properly. It's not going to be accepted. Okay, so that's fairly simple from the physical point. Okay, and the same methodology. Now, from the spiritual point of view for prayer, what you want to do is remember the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in each posture once. Okay? So, for both things, you're going to put one tick. So one is this element, so you're going to check this. Okay, have I done this or not? Okay, that's fine. And then also for the spiritual salah, which Ustadh Siraaj even mentioned in the first presentation, is that in each posture, okay, you need to remember Allah Ta'ala is watching me, Allah is with me and hearing me just once. This is the starting level. Okay, so you do it before. So so for example, to say we do an example now. So you make your intention for Salah, whatever Salah, sort of Salah, in Jamaat behind the Imam, and then in your heart, and then you make intention, pleasure of Allah Ta'ala. Then before you start, you come into the presence of Allah is watching me. Then you do Allahu Akbar, you stand. So 1 keys. Then in Ruku, 3 keys once. Then you stand up again once. And then like this, in each posture, you'll just do it once. Okay? Now, if you forget to do it just once, that's a cross. Okay, so you need to be able to do it once in each posture for the whole Salah for you to get a tick. Okay? This is how important this is to build that presence. Because if you're not in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then who are you in the presence of in Salah? Who are you praying to then? It's a very big thing if you think about it. If we're not in the presence of Allah at the time of, then who are we in the presence of? So we're going there 5 times a day saying, Allah Ta'ala, please help me, please help me, please help me. So guide me, guide me, guide me. But our mind is elsewhere. No wonder our du'as are not getting accepted. Because we're not even turning to Allah Ta'ala to pray. It's like me saying, Dr. Nasser, help me, help me, help me. He's over there. Why am I speaking over there? He doesn't think I'm not even talking to him. He's going to just walk off. But if he's alright, he might, when he's joking. But the point I'm trying to make is, if we're not even facing towards Allah, yes, our body's towards Allah, yeah, the Qibla's towards Allah, the Jamaat is towards our hands, our eyes, everything, but we've not got the heart towards Allah, then what benefit is that prayer? So this is what, this presence directs the heart to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. Okay? Yes, Brother Raphael.
And I have to come to the mosque if I can make it.
Yeah, that's what it means. If you've got no, like I said, valid Sharia excuse, maybe someone's got very ill, you're looking after a parent, they've got very ill, if you leave it could cause some harm. You've become, maybe someone's got COVID, they don't want to spread it to the prayer. Situations like this which are a valid Sharia excuse. Do you know what I mean? You can't make it to the mosque for whatever reason. Okay. So then, but if you just sat home watching football and think, pray after the game, then unfortunately.
What if you can do you've got my brothers at home or something, I can do Jamaat in the house. Does that count?
No, there's masjid. You need to pray in the masjid. That's real. Unless, again, like, there's an excuse, but it should be in the masjid.
Okay.
Okay.
Are those reasons in the book?
I don't know if the reasons are in the book, to be fair. They're not, no. Yeah, you can find the Shari excuses, ask one of the biggest stars, they'll sort it out for you. MashaAllah. Okay, so are we clear on this sheet? Any confusion? Yes, Uncle.
I think this program is also teaching us to be really humble, because there are times somebody is going to, say something that is going to make you say something in reply, but you are using your tongue, and it will also make us to lower our emotional, barrier or guns, not just to explode. Somebody says something, you walk away, you look at them and say, okay, all right, brother, let me just walk away from it.
Exactly. Uncle's got it all in one. What Uncle's just said is literally what this sheet does practically. Do you know what I mean? Uncle mashallah has got very good understanding, mashallah. Exactly what Uncle said is what the sheet does. Thank you, Uncle, you just did my bit for me then. So we can move on now to the next sheet. Are we clear on that, brothers? Yep. Alhamdulillah. Okay, now sincerity class, okay? So what we do with this sheet is same principle again, how the ticking works. We're familiar with the ticking methodology, but level 1, in all major good deeds, e.g. 5 daily prayers and 1 zikr, one should do them for the pleasure of Allah Ta'ala and in order to attain salvation and reward in the hereafter. Okay, so we actually need to make that intention that I'm doing this, not what you have to do with your lips, in your mind and in your heart, that I'm doing this action for the pleasure of Allah in order to attain salvation and reward in the hereafter. Okay, so just in your mind, that's what you need to make that intention. Then one should check and refresh his and her intent in the beginning, middle and end. So when you start, for example, Salah, as soon as you start, you do that intention, I'm doing it with the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then maybe end of second rak'ah, you'll do it again, and then right at the end, just before you finish, you'll do it. Okay, so that intention. Okay, then with your dhikr, you start your dhikr, you make that intention. Just say you're 10 minutes through, you make that intention again. You're finishing, you make that intention. Okay, and then any other good deed a person is doing, such as praying Quran for a period of then. But mainly in these two, you need to do that. Okay, your 5 daily prayers and 1 zikr. Okay, for you to be able to get a tick, in your 5 daily prayers and in 1 zikr, you need to do that. Okay, on this sheet. Yeah, so is that clear? And like again, we mentioned yesterday about sincerity, how important it is. The 3 people who will come on the day of judgment, thinking they've passed, and just because of this simple act they didn't do. But look how deep and important it is. Again, one is if we're not facing towards Allah, how's Allah going to give us? But if we're not doing it for Allah, then what do we expect to receive? Okay, so this is a very important sheet as well, because in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again, all you could be doing is just your 5 daily prayers with the class, and there could be an alim preaching, famous preacher, but in the sight of Allah, this person's greater. He's not even a scholar, he's not even a learned person. All he's doing is one thing, is praying his salah with intention for the sake of Allah. Whereas the other one might be traveling the world, everyone loves his speeches, he's going around, he's world famous, but he doesn't have the intention for Allah. This person's deeds are much greater than that person's. That's how important our intention is. Okay, so it's the same process again. Okay, so you tick, cross, but this particular sheet, you have to do it for 3 months before you change, so 90 days. Sincerity is very important, because without sincerity, our deeds are void. So for that reason, we have to drill this in. Okay, we have to drill it in 100%. That's why this particular sheet, you'll only move on to the next level once you've done 3 months of it consecutively. Okay, so every other sheet is for 30 days. 1 second, yeah. So every other sheet is for 30 days, and just the so yes, you do them for 30 days and you'll go to your mentor, review it, and then they'll change it. Whereas sincerity, 90 days, then you'll go for a review. Okay? And another wisdom behind 90 days, okay, this is just for this year, but in general, remember I said to the beginning that I'll tell you when to know that your habits changed, it's after 90 days. So 1 month will not show in reality if you've changed or not. It's after 90 days, okay, a person needs to be consistent to then know that, okay, that habit has officially changed now. So even though you've done 30 days, you're still at risk of going back to that. But once you've done 90 days, you still can go back, but the chances are very low, because by that time now, you would have completely changed your habit. Like, for example, if a person swore all the time, by 90 days, he won't even think of it. If it does come, immediately he'll be able to stop it from coming out of his mouth. Yeah.
With the tongue sheet.
Okay.
And you've managed it. You've got past it and you're fine. You move on to the next organ.
Okay.
But then let's say 10 days down or 15 days down on the second sheet for the next organ, you use your tongue for a sin again.
Okay.
So would you scrap that sheet and go back to the tongue again?
No, so you'll carry on that sheet, but you'll start your tongue again.
Okay, so you're doing 2 sheets for the remaining.
Ultimately, when you do move on to the next stage, you're moving the tongue sheet with you. Do you get it? So now, instead of 1 organ, you're doing 2.
Right, okay.
Do you understand?
Right, okay.
So instead of 1, you're doing 2. So if you do end up, for example, slipping up on the tongue, then you will go back and start your tongue sheet again. But you still carry another one. Do you understand? But because what it is now, you've gone through the difficult hurdle of changing. So now it's just maintaining that. You understand? So you're carrying on that now. You understand? So that is basically the 5 amals. So just to list them, you've got your dhikr, yeah, your la ilaha illallah dhikr. You've got your muraqabah, okay. You've got your tongue sheet, your organs. You've got your salah sheet and your sincerity sheet. Yeah, that's the 5 amals. So now I just need to repeat them again. So what was the first one? Zikr, okay. Which zikr? Okay, and what was the second one? Muraqabah. Third? Tongue. Fourth one? Okay, love it. The other way around. And the last one? Prayer sheet, okay, yeah? And another thing which you will do is in your book, you can see, you adopt 3 sunnahs. Okay, so one might like, for example, sleeping, eating, and drinking. Okay, so because the ultimate purpose of this is to become like Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So one is from the, because that internal part, and obviously in our daily actions we want to adopt that. Just now imagine you're sat there with your family eating like Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would eat with their family. How would you feel? Imagine that's the way you eat every day. The way you sleep, the way they would sleep. You know, just the thought of it is just amazing. That I'm about to do this action, the Shamal, the way Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would do it. The Imam Sharif, you're wearing it like they would. You know, you're replicating them. How amazing is that? And eventually by doing those, and what you do is every month you get 3 more, 3 more, 3 more, to such a point where a person should look at you and you should just remind them of the Sunnah. In every action, when you eat, when you drink, you know, like, you know, I'm sure many of you now, mashallah, you've probably had a chance to sit with the teacher and eat. You just look at that and you don't even want to eat. You don't want to eat because you think just the Sunnah is so beautiful. You know, look how well they wear the Sunnah. You know, I'll give an example for me. Before that, I would never wear it. When I seen them, instantly I just wanted to wear the Sunnah. It wasn't about anything, it's just how beautiful it looked. That's just showing you how when it's practiced perfectly how it looks. And you know, what's the best dawah? It's not with your lips, it's with your actions. You know, sometimes it's difficult to speak to our close family members sometimes. But imagine the way you're dressed, the way you're eating, the way you're speaking, that's sufficient. That has effect on a person as well. You know, so these are very important. So don't overlook these little sunnahs as well. You know, just because of your beautiful beard or just this dress code, it might change a person's heart. You know, there's one uncle we used to have, may Allah Ta'ala reward him and bless him, give him shifa, Uncle Shafiq. Yeah, he's a fruit man. He used to be our host, our main host. And if you go back in the videos, his sunnah used to be impeccable. Is Imam Sharif, not one crease on it. Jubba, not one crease on it. His beard, not one hair would be out of line. And he always said, you brothers need to look after yourself. You brothers need to look after yourself. But honestly, you'd see him and you think, you know what? Forget everything else. You know what? I'm just going to wear the sunnah. Wherever it is, I'll wear it. That's, mashallah, and that's what when you wear the sunnah properly, that's what the sunnah will do to you. It'll make you look well. So don't just think the little acts, eating, drinking, they have a very big effect. Sleeping at wudu at night, an angel will stay by you all night looking after you. An angel will be with you all night. Just simple acts, So when you're eating, you're getting the reward just for following the sunnah. Okay? So these are the 5 amals, and then you get 3 sunnahs. They're in your book. So now you're aware. You all understand the 5 amals. Now from now on, you will practice this. If you've not got pens, we've got pens. Your job now is tonight. Choose your time before you go to bed, or if you want to start it now, whenever you are. But make that intention. You're starting from now. So your tongue, you want to safeguard that now. Okay? When you're going for Salah, you want to make these intentions now. Okay? When you're doing your sincerity sheet, starting that from now. Okay? So you've officially now started on your book. So Mubarak on this, and watch how in these 5 days your spiritual journey will escalate as well. It will just accelerate through the roof just because of this, following this. And then you'll see how they both go hand in hand. Okay, so Jazakallah for this. If there's any more questions, don't worry, you'll see me flying about. You can just ask me. But beware, I'm telling you now, I am going to ask you. So I'm going to catch you at the time you least expect. You're just about to open your iftari. The kajus, I'm going to say, brother, what's sunnah of eating? I'm only joking, I'm not that cruel. Okay, Jazakallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.
Jazakallah khair to Ustadh Siraaj for delivering such an interactive session. And really, as Ustadh mentioned, that these practices are going to be the make or break. So inshallah, let's start from today. The online participants, we will post the sheets on the WhatsApp groups, and please print them off or tick and cross them as and when you please, inshallah. But please start today. The physical participants, we have the sheets for those who already have the books but they're at home. We've got some sheets, we've got some pens, and let's make a start today, inshallah. We'd like to end the session here. The next session will be at 7:45 p.m. So everyone is requested to rest. So we'll see the Zoom participants then, inshallah. And the next Salah will be at 7:30, and it's going to be rest time up until then. So Jazakallah khair to all.
Just one point I want to make.
It has to be a quick point, please.
Very quick point.
Go on, that's it.
I know I'm waiting for something to happen to me. But this waiting comes with trials and challenges. Nothing in life is free. My Lord, show me right from wrong. Give me light, make me waiting for something to happen to me.
लाखों दरूद और लाखों सलाम, लाखों दरूद और लाखों सलाम जिन्नों मलाइक